Dear participants, loving greetings to all of you and welcome to session 4 of the online course 1, module 1 of the ISSE-SE Education in Human Values program. It makes us very happy to be together again for the first time this new year 2025. So happy new year first of all to all of you. And here we are to continue our transformational journey together along the path of ISSE-SE Educare, which as we know fills us with love, peace, serenity, joy, companionship, unity, and ultimately greater awareness of our true nature. From November to December 2024, we had 3 sessions together and covered the important topics of the philosophy of ISSE-SE Educare, the value of love, and the value of truth. Today, dear friends, in session 4, we will have the joy to listen to Vassiliki Stephanides from Greece, who will be talking to us about the value of righteousness. Good morning, dear Vassiliki.
Good morning, dear Raksha.
Oh, it makes us so happy to be with you today and that you will be our presenter today. And before you start your presentation, I would like to actually, on a personal level, I would like to mention that Vassiliki has always inspired me when I started this training program myself. In 2009, she was one of my trainers too, and I've always been very inspired by you, Vassiliki. So it is a joy for us to hear you today, and Vassiliki is actually the most senior member of our ISSE team. So this is also a privilege for all of us to hear you today, to be inspired by your wisdom, your experience, your integrity, and your beautiful character. So thank you in advance, Vassiliki. And I'd like to share with everyone some valuable background information about her. So Vassiliki Stephanides was born in Athens, Greece, and she lives there also today. She studied business administration and economics at the American College of Greece, Deary College, then continued her graduate studies in Boston College in the US, at the University of Arkansas, US again, and in Oxford University in the United Kingdom. She also attended seminars in management and in business ethics at the Harvard Business School in the USA. Vassiliki has been teaching ISSE-SE education in human values classes for children since 1989. She has been a teacher trainer of the ISSE Institute, which is the first institute of ISSE-SE education founded in Europe in 1987. She has participated in ISSE-SE education and human values training programs conducted in various countries in Europe since 1992. Vassiliki has been a faculty member of the Institute of ISSE-SE Education of South Europe since its establishment in 2009. In addition to the seminars of ISSE-SE education in Europe, she has given presentations in many places, such as the Polytechnic Institute of Auckland in New Zealand, the Deary College Continuing Education Program, the ISSE-SE University in India, the University of Economics in Athens, and at the Greek Productivity Center. Vassiliki is also the co-founder of the ISSE-SE Center of Human Values in Athens, an initiative that was developed jointly with our dear George Rebedelis. Finally, Vassiliki is presently a professor emeritus at the School of Business, Deary College. So as you can see, dear participants, we are in very good hands today with a very experienced faculty member of our team. So dear Vassiliki, we are really enthusiastic to hear you today and to be inspired by whatever you have to share with us on the value of righteousness. Thank you. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, dear Raksha, for your introduction. Dear participants, it is my pleasure to be with you today, and I wish you a very good day and a very hearty welcome. The presentation today will be on the value of righteousness. This righteousness is an aspect of a wider concept that can be defined as cosmic order and moral law. I would like to start with the quotation from a great philosopher of modern times, Immanuel Kant, with his well-known book, Critique of Practical Reason. Reading this, we see that two things fill the... please, can you give me the slide a little bit bigger so that I can read it? George, please. Okay, then.
Vassiliki, would you like me to read for you? Because I cannot make it bigger.
All right. I can read it now. Thank you. Two things fill the mind with ever new and increasing admiration and awe. The more often and steady we reflect upon them, the starry heavens above me and the moral law within me, I do not guess either of them as if they were veiled obscurities beyond the horizon of my vision. I see them before me and connect them immediately with the consciousness of my existence. This concept of cosmic order and moral law about which Kant speaks is known with the Sanskrit term dharma. Dharma is a term or a word for which there is no equivalent word in any of the languages of the West. Dharma, like the values of love and truth that you have attended previously, and all the human values, is of two levels. There is the divine level of Dharma and the worldly level. The meaning of Dharma in the divine level is universal law and divine order. In the worldly level, it is justice, virtue, ethics, duty, righteousness, and love in action. I repeat, love in action. Action, practice is the key word here. Satya Sai says, the whole cosmos is rooted on Dharma. Now, let us see what is further the nature, the true nature of objects around us and of persons. The true nature of anything is the dharma of this thing. So we can say the true nature of fire is to burn. When it cannot burn, it cannot be fire. It is just sand or coal, rather coal. The true nature of sugar is to be sweet. If it is not sweet, it is just sand. And now we ask, what is the true nature of a human being. What is our true nature? The true nature of man is to practice the human values. Again, I say the key word is practice, the human values, which are inherent in every human being. After knowing and understanding about them, then we have to practice. Satyasai says, practicing what you preach, doing as you say it has to be done, keeping priest yarn piracy. That is righteousness. Next, please. In this image, we see a painting by Raffaello that represents the Academy of Athens. In the center of the painting, we can see two figures, two men. The older man is Plato on the left, and the younger man is Aristotle, his student, on the right side. Now, if we focus more on Aristotle, we will see that he's holding a book, his book, that is the Nicomachean Ethics. I will read to you a passage of the Ethics as Aristotle says. It is by doing just acts that the just man is made, and by doing temperate acts that the temperate, the self-controlled man is made. Without practicing, no one ever would have any chance to become good. However, most people do not practice, but are lost in argumentation and imagine that they are being philosophers and that they will become virtuous in this way. They behave like patients who listen attentively to their doctors, but do none of the things they are advised to do. Neither this will cure their body by such a treatment, nor the former will cure their soul by such a course of philosophy. Now, what Aristotle says in this quotation is the fundamental principle of the Satyasai education in human values program. And it is known mainly as the unity of thoughts, words, and deeds. When the words we speak are in harmony with our thoughts, and our actions are in harmony with our words, then we have righteousness. That which is not practiced cannot be righteousness. Observe righteousness by being yourselves, Satyasai advises. Now the question may arise, what does it mean? How can we be ourselves? Then the answer comes by him again, by giving up the false identification with the body and by letting our true nature reveal itself. What is this false identification? We all think that we are the body, but this is not right. We are not only the body. We are much more as we learn from the human values and divinity that is already inside us. So we have to let the true nature to reveal itself. The true nature reveals itself by right action. That is, to fulfill one's role with excellence, to play the different roles of our higher self. What is the higher self we all have? It is our spiritual heart. It is our conscience. It is an inner voice that sometimes is heard softly inside us. Now, let us see what are the roles, some of them that we play. Our duty is to play the various roles with righteousness and love. So we can have right action as a human being, or as a citizen of our country, or as a teacher or any other profession, or in the family as mother or father, daughter or son, or as a wife and a husband, a friend, a colleague, etc. Here it is important to remember our duty for nature. We are part of nature. We are not separate. We are included in nature. So we have to love nature, to protect it, and never, never do harm or give pain to anything. In the words of Satya Sai about love and duty, he says, duty without love is deplorable. Duty with love is desirable. And love without duty is divine. An advice that he gives us with a word, a perfect word, to remember always when we play our roles, is the word watch. It's not just the watch. Every single letter of this word is a great meaning that we keep in mind while we live in this life. So we have to watch our words, to watch our actions, to watch our thoughts, to watch our character, and watch our heart. Now, another question may come. How to perform our duty with excellence? Satya Sai says, the first thing is confidence in your higher self. There is a higher self that we all have. We must believe that it exists in us, and we must have confidence in its dictates. So we follow what higher self tells us. Then we must have determination, be sure about what we have to do. When we have these two, the realization of the goal is within our reach. Now, in doing our role, of course, there are obstacles that impede us in doing our duty and performing our role correctly. There is one main obstacle here. It is the ignorance that we have in our true nature, in our divine reality, because we think we are only the body and crave for the fruits of our actions. That is, since I am doing something, I want to have their appreciation or to get the result of what I'm doing. This is a bondage that we have with things or persons. Such bondage bondage results in 6 enemies. Let us look at these enemies. As you see already, a darkness covers our soul. Clouds, dark clouds. The first enemy is the desires and lust. Then it is anger. Then it is greed, attachment, egoism, arrogance, and hate or jealousy and criticizing others. Desires are endless. We must put a ceiling on desires, as Satyasai advises. Then our willpower becomes strong. When desires are not satisfied, then we have anger. When they are satisfied, we have greed and want more and more. Then we have attachment. Because of our ignorance that we are all one, brothers and sisters, we tend to attach to objects, material objects, or other persons, and think they are mine. This mine causes pain because when they are lost, we suffer. Egoism and arrogance is well known to us, again because we think we are separate from other beings and we develop an ego that we are doing something. Then there is hate, unfortunately, jealousy while the other person does something and we don't do it, and criticizing. In criticizing, we have a story that Swami told us one day. And he said, oh, yes, sure, George, thank you. The first story that I would like to tell you is about greed. And this is a story by Aesop, the goose and the golden egg. There was once a poor farmer with many children. He was desperate because he didn't have the means to feed them, support them, so that they grow well. One day, as he was walking with head down in his yard, he goes by his goose and he sees a golden egg next to it. What is this, he thinks? Is this real? Is this a golden egg? He takes the egg in his hands, looks at it. Yes, it seems to be gold. So he goes to the market to examine it. It is real gold. He sells it, gets a lot of money, buys food and clothing, and goes happily to his house. Everyone in the family is very happy, and they celebrate. Next day, the farmer passes again by the goose, and oh, there is another golden egg. He picks it up, he goes to the market, sells it, more money comes to him, and now he buys furniture and other clothing for the family. Everyone is happy. This goes on for the third day, another golden egg, and for the fourth day, another golden egg. As the farmer obtains more goods for his family and for his house, he becomes greedy. He wants them all and he wants them now. So he takes a knife and slaughters the goose, only to find nothing. And then we have the other story that Swami has narrated to us about criticizing. He said that there was a lady once that was criticizing her neighbor every day by looking through the window of her kitchen. She complained to her husband because the laundry of the neighbor was not clean. And she said, "Look, what is this dirty laundry? Why she cannot clean more?" She was saying this every day she woke up and looked through the window of her kitchen. One day, she calls her husband and says, "Oh, come, see now the laundry of our neighbor is clean. I wonder what detergent she has using now so that it's clean." And the husband says, "Oh dear, I was fed up with telling me every day how dirty the laundry of the neighbor is. So this morning I woke up early and I cleaned the window of our kitchen." So now we should remember that we should not criticize others. And if we point the other person with a finger, as we see here, we should remember that 3 fingers point back to us. So better think of our weaknesses than of the faults of others. Satya Sai says, "The man who does not know himself goes on accusing and criticizing others. If you know yourself, you also know the other man." So now, how can have lessons for our enemies? How can we go on to become better persons? Satya Sai has told us that nature is the best university to give us lessons. So here we see a picture with the sun rising. As the sun rises early in the morning and spreading its light all over and around, the darkness slowly recedes and disappears. The sun does not exert any effort or push. The darkness disappears slowly. The sun simply shines and light comes to our day. We should take this light inside us. Take the light inside. Be full of light in our heart and in our mind. And then we have to speak good words. We have to hear good sounds, good melodies, good words. We have to see good things, focus on good things, and not on others that are not so good. And then we have to do good actions and be a good person. Now, let us look at a tree in nature. The dharma of this tree is to produce fruits. The tree produces the fruits always and does not care who will get these fruits. It simply produces them, and the man may get the fruits, or the birds may eat them, or they may fall down on earth, become rotten, and be fertilizer for the earth. The tree just produces. So, in the same way, when we do an act, we have to surrender it to the divine. Surrender our good actions, not to wait to get back something good. If we are not appreciated, we become angry. But now we should be happy that we give back to nature and divinity. What about mountains? Mountains are steady like a rock and strong like a rock. They are not influenced by the environment if it changes around them, if there is wind or rain or sunshine or snow. They just are left as they are. In the same way, we should also be steady and strong, not change. Follow our conscience and not change our mind. Finally, we should say that we should not give up. Don't give up, Satyasai tells us. And we must remember three things, the three P's, as he says. We must have purity, patience, and perseverance in order not to give up and to succeed. We have purity in our thoughts and our actions, in good intentions. Then we have patience to wait until the right time comes. Patience is necessary, but we need also perseverance, not to give up. Here we have a little story that we tell to our young students in human values classes. The story is Two Frogs in Trouble. There were once two frogs, very good friends, that were jumping in a garden up and down, playing and enjoying their life. One day, they jumped and fell in a bucket that was half full with milk. Oh, what a trouble. They tried to get out of the bucket, but it was not possible. The milk was liquid and they could not stand on it and jump. So they started hitting the milk with their feet, continuously hitting and hitting, but nothing happened. So one of the dogs says, "Oh, we have no hope. We can never get out of this bucket." And he lost courage, he lost effort and fell down on the bucket. The other one continued. He did not give up. He continued hitting the milk as long as he could, and he was thinking, as long as I breathe, I have hope. So finally, a miracle happened. The milk became thick and became cheese. Drop the frog, stands on it, and jumps out of the bucket. Now, this is really the end of the story, but with small children, if they are sorry and ask us what happened to the other dog that was left inside, we say that the dog who saved himself outside goes back and with a long hand grasps the leg of the dog that was left inside and pulls him out. So we have a happy end here. Then we have a sketch. Here is a chariot that was designed by a student of human values during a lesson of Mahabharata. This is a metaphor of the human body. It's good to remember it. The human body is the chariot. The chariot is pulled by the horses, and the human body, as you can see here, is the chariot. The horses are the senses, our senses. If they are not controlled, they may carry the chariot in different directions and make it and lose it. So we must stop, we must control our senses, Satyasai says firmly. Then we have the reins. The reins are the mind. The mind controls the horses, and then the charioteer is our conscience that guides the mind. Finally, there are the beautiful words of Satya Sai that tell us that life is a game played. And it is true, if we follow the rules of righteousness, it becomes a game and we play correctly with right action. He says, life is a challenge. Meet it with courage and determination. Life is a dream. Realize it. Realize that there is much more than we see. There is much more divinity. It's like a dream that we have to realize. And life is love. Share it. This is the end of the presentation. Thank you, and it was my pleasure to have your attention.
Dear Vassiliki, thank you so much for your wonderful presentation filled with very valuable insights. I think all of us have a better understanding of this very meaningful value of righteousness, as you explained, Dharma, with all its different aspects. You gave us some wonderful stories too, and very good examples, and all of that through the hand of the founder with his very wise advice to all of us. So thank you very much, Vassiliki. And now we have some time for some questions and answers, dear participants. So if anyone would like to ask our dear Vassiliki any question related to what she has presented, please feel free to post it in the chat box. And while you start writing your own questions, I would like to actually ask you to share a little bit more to Vassiliki, because when we read your very inspiring biodata, we heard that you taught the subject of ethical action in business to college students. So, dear Vassiliki, can you tell us a little bit more about your experience here with these classes?
Sure, with pleasure. This was a new course that was created by me after I attended some seminars at Oxford University, and I included a lot of Swami's advice in it, and quotations, especially like the watch. I wrote on the blackboard watch, and the students loved it. The ABC, always be careful, and other words that Swami has given to us. After the course was over, the students told me that they enjoyed it, and one student, after he graduated from the college, he came back to ask for a transcript of his grades to continue to postgraduate studies. And the secretary of the president asked him, in those 4 years that you were in the college, which course really you liked most? And he said, I like most the course by Miss Stephanides, Ethical Action in Business, because it became for me a guide. It showed to me how I should do my life and act as a manager in the future. So that is one way that I remember with joy from my students and that course. I can say that I created a club with the students that I call Community Contribution Club. And the students registered, those who wanted, and during weekends we could go and visit children in an orphanage or old people in old pensions house, and be with them, talk to them, or play with the children. And the students were very happy for that, so they understood the other side of righteousness, to serve with love.
How beautiful, Vassiliki. That is so wonderful to hear. And I'm sure your students benefited a lot, like this example you gave of this boy who really, this young man who stated that your class was something that he enjoyed the most. And I'm sure it continues bringing him some guidance in his life. So that is wonderful. And I'm just going to see if there are any questions. I don't think we have any questions yet from our participants. You explained it all very clearly, but in case anyone has any question, it can be a very simple one too. Sometimes we all face dilemmas and questions, so feel free to post them. But while this is happening, I would like to also maybe ask you, Vassiliki, we heard that you have so many years, decades of experience teaching SSEHV, and especially at the ISSE-SE Center of Human Values in Athens, which you co-founded with our dear George too. So could you tell us a little more about what you do in these lessons, the kind of activities, the impact on the children? We would love to hear more about these lessons too, Vassiliki.
This center, we started with George in the year 2000, and we had up to 20 children in 3 classes, the younger one, the middle, that went to primary school, and the older one that were finishing primary school. So we would follow the curriculum that is given to us by the education committee of the ISSE-SE organization. And we had the silent sitting, of course, first. Then we gave them a story, discussion, songs, and group activities. At this point, I would like to mention ISSE-SE, who called us for an interview, and I was so glad to tell him that I went to Harvard and I made a course of ethical action in business for college students. And he answered, "Oh, that is not important. I know that. What is important? Teach them moral stories." And by saying that, I can mention now that a week ago, we had a short camp of 3 days with our students of human values, because it was a religious holiday in Greece, no classes. And during this camp, I said to them a story that is about, let me tell you briefly the story that is about 2 brothers that were very happy. They loved each other. They lived in separate houses with their families. But one day, because of a minor dispute, let's say, they became angry with each other. They quarreled, and then they stopped talking to each other. So one of them, the first one, what he did in order not to speak anymore to his brother was to dig a ditch around his house, and the ditch had water also in it. The other one saw that and became also angry. He said, "Okay, then I will separate my house," because there was a short piece of land between the 2 houses, "and I will build a fence." He called a carpenter and asked him to build a fence with the wood that he had. And he went to his work, and he was away all day. The carpenter built what he felt it was right to build, and when that brother came back from work, he was excited. He said, "Oh, this is a bridge. Oh, my good brother built a bridge." And he said, "Sorry, brother, I had thought of building a fence, and here is a bridge over the ditch that we had bridged and unites us again." And the 2 met in the center of the bridge and hugged and loved each other again. So the question to the children was, with whom would you like to build a bridge because your relationship is not so good as you would like? The students answer, usually it was with brothers or sisters. They would like to build a bridge, and then I asked them, how would you build this bridge? And then some said, I will start thinking first, having good thoughts about him, then say some good words, and finally get together, which we are not doing now. We loved this story, and I wanted to mention it as another example.
Thank you, Vassiliki. It's a really nice story. And while you were asking this, such a nice, wise question to the students too, who would they like to build bridges with too, and how sometimes this is our closest family members, like in this case, their brothers or sisters. And it's true, you know, practicing righteousness especially begins at home with our family. So, and I love to hear how fortunate you are to get advice from the founder of this program himself, Satya Sai, who told you about the importance of teaching students moral stories. Vassiliki, I actually have a personal question, so I'm going to ask you now, and maybe others will benefit from it too. You know, when you spoke about righteousness and somehow connected it to our conscience and how, you know, it really is love in action. I wanted to ask you, when sometimes we hear this, we talk about this voice within, you know, to hear the voice of our conscience. How do you differentiate yourself sometimes? How do you know if it's your mind that's telling you something, or if it's truly that seat of wisdom, the conscience that's guiding you? I'd love to hear how you discriminate and differentiate, and to follow the prompting of your spiritual heart.
Yes, dear Raksha, if really our spiritual heart approves of what we are going to do, then we feel peace inside. It's not the mind that has some doubts or many more thoughts appear in the mind. The heart gives us the direction. That's our consciousness. And sometimes, after we practice, we may even hear an inner voice. And a good way to practice that Satya Sai advises is to do silent sitting or meditation in the light daily. Then our whole body becomes pure and we can have this joy inside and this peace and hear a voice that guides us.
Thank you, Vassiliki. That was a beautiful answer. And I see that there are no questions, so that means everything you explained was so clear. One of our ISSE team members, Elena, does want you to share something, and she says, what about practicing the stories by drama performances? Have you found this kind of group activity makes changes in the children's behavior? So when you have like drama performances?
Oh yes, certainly. When we have in the group activities to play a drama, then the children, first of all, if I ask them to choose the role they want, they all choose the best role. But we have some roles that have to be not so good. So, but by choosing the best role and by acting, they can feel it inside, and it makes sometimes a change in them, because play the role of the good person makes you also a good person. That is the benefit of a drama, among other group activities that are making dances or chanting or singing or making designs and coloring.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing, Vassiliki. And also another question we have here, dear Vassiliki, often in life we face dilemmas in practicing righteousness. Is there a way to choose the right option?
Yes, we do face dilemmas, and it is really difficult sometimes. However, we can, one thing we can do, and I do it, is pray for guidance. Pray to the Lord. Another way is to stand in silent sitting and do the light meditation. And as we go deeper inside us, as we said before, an answer may come. And we have the way that how to do. We know what is better to do. Our inner voice tells us this. We have to take some time to go back for a little, not to act immediately, to stand back, calm down, and ask inside. We'll get an answer from our spiritual heart.
Very wise advice, Vassiliki, and it links very nicely to when you answered the previous question also about if it really brings peace to us when we feel that inner peace. So a lot to learn from today's session, as we can see, dear participants. And I'd like to thank you once again, Vassiliki, for everything you shared with us, not just through the presentation, but also now in this further exchange and the question and answer session. It was very, very uplifting. And we will hear more from you after the break because we have an interactive workshop, dear participants, as always. So what we're going to do now, it's we will have an 8-minute break. So we will start sharp at 11 Central European time again. So we will have a 8-minute break, come back at 11 Central European time to continue with Vassiliki again, who will introduce the task for the workshop. So thank you all for being here today. We will see you again in a few minutes, 7 minutes from now. And thank you, Vassiliki. And yeah, so looking forward to seeing you all again in a few minutes. Thank you. Dear friends, we're happy to be back again. We hope you had a short break. And now what we're going to do is I'd like to invite you once again, dear Vassiliki, to share the task that we're going to have for our interactive workshop today. So Vassiliki, whenever you want, you can join us again. Thank you. Go ahead, please.
So the workshop for today is to give an experience from your life. Yes, we have it from, please let me see, because to give an experience from the life you have from your country. Just a moment, please. Just a moment. Let me see. Yes, from your history, from your culture, from your everyday life or personal experience. Give examples highlighting virtuous qualities such as duty, discipline, perseverance, courage, sacrifice, modesty, tolerance, patience, gratitude, and sense of honor, dignity.
So we will be going into breakout rooms now, right, dear Vassiliki? And our participants can talk about these aspects. And when we come back, will we have a summary as well, dear Vassiliki?
Yes.
Okay, so it would be a good reminder since we're going to have a short summary, right?
A person from each group may give us a summary without giving the name of the other person who gave his experience. We just hear experiences on these virtuous qualities.
Wonderful. Thank you, Vassiliki.
Yes.
And I know we will have 20 minutes for this task, so enjoy. Thank you.